love that music. That was really
What is
jamming.
that?
Woo!
I know.
Papa P in the house. Y'all, you know what it's
Papa
about.
P.
Let's do this. Today's a good day, people. Woke up today with phenomenal weather. I said, damn, it's going to be a good day. Sun shining, blue skies. Gotta love
Right.
Florida,
Mm-hmm.
the land of
Right.
Governor DeSantis.
And hey, big milestone, we've doubled our viewership. Last week we had 1 viewer. This week we have 2, guys.
Let's
Every
go.
week we'll just double it.
You know what, though? It's okay because we're working on getting this out to make sure it's always out on YouTube and on iTunes. And then everybody's going to listen to it on their morning commute.
That's right.
Love that.
Spotify, all those places you find those podcasts.
Joe Rogan, look out.
That is true. Well,
You know, I
sweet.
wanted to start this
Go
off
ahead.
and just let you guys know my endeavors into nootropics and functional mushrooms is turning out to be wonderful. I just want to say I have my every dose. It's my little, they do it dose right there. I drink instead of coffee, I drink it. I have my evening or afternoon tea, functional mushroom tea in the evening. Tastes just like regular, it's got oolong tea in it. Tell you what, I've created the life hack. The life hack, Carlos.
Do you really feel like it's like enhancing?
Listen, I have cut out coffee. I used to be like a multiple cup a day coffee, 2 cups, 1.5 to 2.5 cups, depending on because I do espresso. But
yeah,
I don't need that. I don't need that. And the amount of coffee in this is like 1/3. It's like so nominal compared to like a regular cup of coffee, and the rest of it is just functional mushrooms, and I freaking love it, man. And then the afternoon tea for that afternoon slump. I don't need all the other stuff, and so I like it. Plus, I'm not an affiliate. I've started my 4-week endeavor on the thesis nootropic stack. So I've been trying this, and other than 1 day of migraines, I've been doing good on it. I've been crushing this week. John knows I've been crushing it.
Crushing it. Absolutely crushing it.
But seriously, though, I highly recommend. I'm not going to say anything about nootropics. Everyone's got their own thing they got to do. But I will say that this mushroom thing in replace of coffee, I highly support this.
Nice.
I'm recommending it to everybody. Everybody I know. Cut out the coffee.
Well, hey, maybe in the podcast description of this episode and on YouTube, we can put some links to the stuff that you got.
Need to, yeah.
And there we go.
Love that we started with that update. I had to cut out early last week, so I was right in the middle of Papa P's nootropic weekly debrief last week, so I had to cut out. I don't know how much longer that episode went, but
not much longer. I just wanted to let everyone know I was trying it. I mean, I speak very highly of the functional mushrooms. You know, I know I've tried different things, but like I could just say you feel a difference doing it. And I know, Carlos, last week you were saying there's a lot of it placebo. Like if you think it's going to do something, it's going to. And I believe that's true too. But I know I'm a person who needs cups of coffee to get going. Like that's it. Like in the morning I wake up, got the kids. Like I need my coffee. I haven't had coffee. I mean, I don't even know what it would happen if I went to Starbucks right now. So I'm also saving probably not because the shit's expensive, but you know. Dave Ramsey probably would not be happy with me. Never mind, I was about to make a Dave Ramsey joke, but he wouldn't be happy. He'd be like, no, you're buying that Instagram shit. Stop wasting your money.
But hey, it's working.
It is. I love it. So,
that's awesome.
All right, what's on topic today? Should we start with real estate? What are we starting with?
We're starting with a question that I have.
Oh, yeah?
From my inexperience, I have been hearing a lot about hedge funds lately and the fact that they're buying up real estate, through some wholesalers. And just throwing it out to the group. If anybody has any information to share on that for myself and the rest of the listener base, would love to know why they're doing it, what's the results. Because I've heard that, like, for the most part, I mean, they don't really care about price, which wholesalers love because they can charge more because they're buying in such large quantities that, for a regular flipper who's like, I got to make my margins, it's not as necessarily a big deal for them. They're just trying to put their money into real estate. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have no idea. It's just the whispers on the wind that I hear occasionally.
Carlos, what you know some people doing the hedge fund stuff?
I do. There are some people we should get Bo Hollis on. He's selling to a lot of hedge funds right now. So I think we could probably break it down from perspectives and then have Papa P kind of take the ball and run with it. But from the investor's perspective, the mom and pop perspective, people that are listening to this perspective, they're able to sell deals at a higher price on the back end. Because I would assume from the hedge fund's perspective, from more of like a microeconomics, they're willing to pay more money to get a deal because they're not really interested in some type of shorter return. Also, if they're buying multiple properties in the same area, even the same neighborhood, zip code, I don't know the exact radius, if they're paying more, they're almost propping up the ARVs of other every time they buy a property in a close vicinity. So it's almost like a weird pseudo thing where, I don't know, and this is maybe the macro perspective that I'm hearing, that these big companies are trying to, or these big hedge funds or institutional buyers are trying to make America like a renter's economy, and take away ownership from people, which is why it's a good idea to hedge against inflation by buying your own property and holding on to it. Something I want to do this year. Buy some type of asset, whether it's storage or single family. I want to buy something. Papa P could probably speak to the transactional nature of that, what it's like to sell to hedge funds and his overall perspective. But that's kind of what I think in a recap is like investors. I'm hearing they're having trouble with lead flow and getting enough deals, but it's compensating a little bit being able to sell at a premium to hedge funds, and hedge funds kind of don't really care about anything in the short distance. They're just trying to get as much as possible, almost in like an arms race with other big buyers.
Well, another question to add on to that then is, so with inventory so low, is it, the number of flippers out there, the mom and pop flippers, going to be decreasing, or are they going to struggle to find properties?
So, very valid points. I wish I would have written some more stuff down, but let me
grab that.
Wow, I hit myself in the nose. I will say I started out back in the day selling. So in like 2012, I was selling to hedge funds as a realtor back when Blackstone, American Residential, they all started. And then I was leasing their stuff out long before they got in-house leasing, and they did. Now a lot of them, they do it all online, but I was their guy in Florida, in like Central Florida. And back then, I will say, I was like, man, these people are dumb. I was like, they're so stupid. They're overpaying for properties. And to speak to what Carlos said, so I was uneducated at the time. I didn't have enough experience at that point. I was only like 3 years into the real estate market. That just goes to show you, for all those people, you need like a decade or more to really know what the hell's going on and see the cycles.
Time brings wisdom.
So what they'll do, what they were doing back then when I was leasing them out, is speaking to Carlos, talking about propping up values. So a lot of their portfolios are all based on how much they rent something out for. So when they would try to max out the rents, and then what would happen was, if they weren't getting feedback to get that $1,200 a month, I would say, hey, listen, somebody's offering $1,100 a month. And they would be like, we can't do that. And I'm like, why? I mean, we can rent this out today. They said, instead, we'll give them 1 month free rent. So in the end, right, 1 or 2 months, it depends on what it was. In the end, they were either getting the same or giving up money because they wanted to keep the rent rate the same because it propped up the market rent. So when you're logging that in the MLS, you log how much that rent is. I don't need to put in there, whatever the deal is, whether you're giving $50 a month off or like a first month, second month free type thing. So they were propping up value. I thought they were dumb. I'm like, man, all they had to do is lower the rent by this and they would have made more money. But that's what Carlos is saying. They're propping up the rental market by jacking, forcing the appreciation of market rents, which then in turn also, that props up the value of their entire portfolio because they're over there structuring their portfolio in a certain way. So that was back then. And today, inventory is lower, but they're building. So there's a lot of companies out there like Blackstone, they're building to rent now too. So they're helping the supply issues, right? And also going towards what Carlos said, or John, I think, like they won't just pay anything. Like they don't just overpay for properties. They have their limits. Every hedge fund has a certain buy box that they'll buy within. And it depends. Like a lot of guys I talk to, I mean, a hedge fund will cut off the spigot if they're, for some reason, and they'll just shut it down. They'll shut it down, then they'll start it back up again. They're just a machine. They're just a machine. And they'll keep on buying. But they don't go after mom and pop stuff. So they're not going to go after the 1940 frame home. They're not going to go after the 1920s or the dilapidated 1980s that needs to be gutted, or their burn houses. They don't go after those properties. They're not messing around in our market per se. In like 90% of the cases, they're messing around for those move-in ready where they have to paint and carpet it. You know, they don't really want pool
hotel kind of situations.
Yeah, they want something that's very simple that they could put their stamp on it. And hedge funds are good. Now, I was reading this stat the other day, and I had it written down, where a lot of people were talking about they're turning us into an America of renters, a nation of renters.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. That's like the conspiracy theory part of it.
The American dream can't be bought. It's going to be rented. And I am a full believer. I love government conspiracies. However, I was reading this stat, and they were saying between 2016 and 2022, owner-occupied homes have increased from 74 million to 83 million approximately. And then during that same time, rental units actually declined from 44 million to 43 million. On average.
Interesting. Is that single-family homes that they're counting in that?
So a lot of this has to do with the fact that for example, you're talking about people buying these big, cookie cutter 2000 plus build, 1990 plus build, but mom and pop renters have a lot of old shit they've been holding on to since the 80s and 90s. They got old properties they've been holding on to. And as they sell those go a lot of times to owner-occupied properties, in my opinion. So that's why, there's a huge influx. So like Blackstone's buying $1 billion worth of real estate in 2022. That only equates, like on the average price, like 3,000 to 4,000 homes. I mean, what do we have? I think we have like 80 to 90 million homes currently. So what is that? Less than like 1% of homes are being bought? Yeah, so I do agree that eventually we'll be a nation of renters. Is it something that's happening today? No. Is it something that will happen eventually, especially as the middle class gets taken away and you have two classes? It's a two-class system. But you know what? Fuck them. I plan on I'm the upper class, baby. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not, it's a fucking race, dude. It's a race to the top. Yeah. And you can sit here and whine about being a renter nation, but I plan on being one of the people renting it out. And if it's a zero-sum game, right? So,
yeah. I mean, I live in Orlando, and there's apartment complexes being built everywhere. They're building new homes like out on the outskirts, but like there's just like swaths of land being bought up everywhere in the metro area, and it's just like apartments all over the freaking place.
And you got a lot more land out in Orlando to go through. I mean, Florida in general does. Look at Miami. I mean, Miami was one of the first markets that so when the hedge funds came down, they targeted the big metros. Miami was one of the big ones. Orlando, Tampa. They didn't come in to little towns like me until later on, as 2013, 14, 15, they started going into these other markets, these Cheshire markets and stuff. And that's what they're going after. But back in the day, they were in like the big ticket things. And back then they were buying up to like $200 and some $1,000, I think. I forget what like our max price was. But now I think $350
that's crazy.
Typical. Yeah. Right now I think it's like $350 is a typical cutoff for a lot of hedge funds.
Interesting. So they're looking for that like newer home that they can paint.
Yeah, they're going to carpet paint it. Renting. Yeah, I mean they want to stay like $30K and under in repairs. Every hedge fund's different, so I can't speak to every hedge fund. Like I got a client that does. They want to do flips. I don't think we've ever sold a property to them because their bids like every time we send something out like. I don't really deal with it, but I know like they'll come back like $80K cheaper on the offer because what they're doing is they have local contractors, and local contractors take advantage of these big funds with their pricing. Their pricing they pay versus what somebody like me pays locally, two totally different things. So their 30K is a lot different than what I'm getting done for 30K.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I don't think a hedge fund's bad. I mean, health wholesalers make money. Homeowners don't really give a shit because they're selling their property cash quick. The only people complaining are honestly the losers. It's the losers of the fucking game. You know, there's an old saying, I forget who posted it. I saw someone said, I've never been hated on by somebody doing better than me. I've only been hated on by some people doing worse than me. And it's the same thing, right? Like, if you're the one winning and making money and owning these properties, to you, it's just another, like, hey, man, I wish I was Blackstone. Just buying $1 billion in real estate. But the people who can't afford houses, my Facebook ads get a lot of this. John, when you go to my videos on Facebook and you read the comments about me buying houses, all of it, oh, this guy's the scum. He's the reason why we can't find houses anymore. They're trying to force us into a nation of renters. That's been famous lately. This guy, he's the one jacking prices up. This is why I can't move into the area, and they're tagging people. They're all complainers, dude. They're all complainers.
Yeah.
Make more money, bro. Make more money.
Yep. Interesting. All right, I feel enlightened. That was awesome.
Carlos, do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Interesting stats for sure. And I mean, that's a way more deep-rooted conversation as far as like how you perceive things and successful people and getting angry at certain things or getting triggered by certain things. But I'm 100% in alignment with that. So to recap for people listening to this, pretty much hedge funds probably aren't going to buy any of your deals that need a lot of work. But for those that don't, you can definitely make some solid money. So like Brandin, for perspective, or like what percentage of your deals have you sold to hedge funds in the last like year? Like 10% or less? 20% or less?
I don't market towards a lot of hedge fund deals.
So
right now I'm marketing for my own self. We're trying to purchase. I just joined Tim Bratz's Legacy. Legacy Wealth. I'm trying to build, like, me and my wife, we decided, like, at this point, we want us. Like, we want us to build our wealth, not so much focusing on the transactional base. I'm trying to get off the transactional wheel, bro.
I hear that.
Trying to get off the transactional wheel.
I hear that for sure.
So I know some guys I talk to who their entire list is geared towards that data. So we cut off a lot of our data pre-2000, right? And because we're looking for stuff for mom and pops. And not that a hedge fund won't buy a 1980 or a 1990 home. They all have different years. I think they'll even go back into the 70s and 60s. But a lot of our stuff, I'm looking for the distressed. I'm looking for fire damage homes. I buy a lot of mobile homes. So I'm looking for dilapidated mobiles. And hedge funds aren't touching dilapidated mobiles. So so it goes to what you said, Carlos. I'm in a totally different category. They're not messing around with what I'm doing. They don't bother me in my mobile home market.
Yeah.
You know, I bought one with pigs and gerbils and hamsters living. They each had their own fucking room and there was shit everywhere. They're not buying that. I bought a hoarder house. They're not buying these ones with mold and everything on the wall. They're not buying pool houses. I bought pool house. They don't buy those ones. So they're not messing with my business. I'll say it again, the only person they're messing with is the mom and dad who's trying to buy that middle class home and they can't anymore. And so they're upset about it.
Yeah.
Very good breakdown.
So yeah.
Love it.
Boom. Lock and load.
Let's talk methods of communication. Calling versus texting. On a personal note, I'm a huge FaceTime guy. If I want to
really,
if I'm texting, I'm a huge FaceTime guy. Just because so much of communication
like 3 categories.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can keep it to calling/texting unless someone is creative enough to be FaceTiming with sellers or sending like bombs or bonjoros. But I don't know if it's someone. I mean, it's mainly with family/close friends. Or it is, that's the majority of it. But so much of communication, like you can't tell tone over text message. Whatever tone you're perceiving is just all your subconscious data of every interaction that you've had with that person and your opinion of that person, like / how you're feeling that day. If Papa P is running and gunning with nootropics and he gets a text from someone, it's probably going to be a 10% more positive response than if he had like a shitty night of sleep or something bad is going on. So I like FaceTime because it's like you're getting way more insight into like their tone and can kind of get to the point quicker. It depends who you're catching up with. Texting can be efficient. Like my phone isn't even in the room. I have it on Do Not Disturb most of the time. But since moving to Miami, I definitely have it off more. Just getting like random calls. It's like can be advantageous being able to answer your phone and stuff like that. But that's my kind of quick impression on calling versus texting. Would love to hear it more so in the context of real estate, day-to-day real estate business.
So I've done it all. Back in the day, I was trained long before. I guess they had FaceTime back then. I don't know. I had a Samsung back in the day. But try all communications was rule number one. If you call, you text, you email, and you're trying to get a hold of them. So the reason why I brought it up to you guys is because I'm dealing with some people who's like, they don't fucking call me and it's annoying and they don't pick up and then they text. So trying to complete a deal with somebody.
Sellers, wholesalers, should we be talking about everybody?
I'm talking about two different types of people. Just real estate. I'll call them real estate investors, whether it's a wholesaler or a flipper, whatever, just an investor. But also realtors are the worst at this, right? Dealing with realtors on a listing or on a business basis. It's like, so I'm dealing with this one guy and he won't fucking call me. And then he's bitching. I'm like, hey, bro, like,
age?
Huh? I don't know.
Age
I don't
range.
personally know him. I'm gonna guess he's in his young 20s, and we can all talk about how that generation they text. But he's not understanding how we need to complete a deal, and he's refusing to talk on the phone. And so instead, his lender has called our office, and I've had more conversations with him than I had with the agent. And you know what that makes me think of this guy?
He's hiding something.
No, he's got no fucking idea what he's doing. He's not trying to problem solve. He's just sending random, one-line fucking text messages. I'll send you an addendum. Bro, I'm not signing an addendum because you haven't called me. So that's a good assumption that you made that I'm giving you that extension and I'm doing those repairs. So I literally sent him a message nothing's getting signed. And that was it. He wanted a one-liner. I gave him a one-line. Pick up the phone. You want to negotiate? Pick up the phone. Same thing with someone we're doing deals with. It's all they do is text. And sometimes when you're doing business, you need to have a FaceTime or a Zoom call is so much better than either a phone call, which is better than a text. The more communicative you could be, the easier the deal is to get done. And I don't think, so when I had agents in the office, I would purposefully, intentionally train people on how to communicate. If you're working with me, I talk to you about how to communicate. Even with our people in the office on the investment side, we're text them, call them. Well, I already texted them. I don't care. Call them. Pick up the phone and call them. I mean, texting isn't the answer, guys. It is a quick way to say yes or no to something, but it is not a way to explain in detail things, right? And I think it's lost in today's world. And age may have a lot to do with it. And I think it's crack of shit, dude. I think anybody who's in charge of training people needs to teach people how to communicate. My dad taught me when I was young. Not only that, when I got into business, the person I was under, he taught me too. And they taught me the right call. You talk to somebody, you state your name, you state what your business is, and why you're getting on the phone with them.
Yep.
And people don't understand that anymore. So
it's we see that progression even having a remote team, right? So we're connected all day long via Basecamp, which has a similar feature like Slack, which a lot of people use too, right? So we text all day about certain things, but there gets to a point where we're like, okay, this is not working anymore. Let's hop on a meeting, or we do have regularly scheduled meetings during the week, and we just say there's no point texting about this. Let's table that for when we get on a Zoom meeting and a phone call. And then even then, I notice which we haven't done in a very long time, and we'll be doing this year, but when we meet in person, the amount of work that we can get done and jam on versus being remote. But yeah, I do think it's age. I think that a lot of people are being raised up in communicating with friends via text. And they barely ever get on the phone.
Well, that's the key thing, though, communication. Are you having a conversation both ways? If you send a text and no one responds and you send another text, pick up the fucking phone. Mm-hmm. Don't just keep sending texts and then they bitch and go, I've been trying to reach you. Have you? Hello, have you really fucking tried to reach me? Or did you just send a fucking text message, bro? That you want to act like I'm a shitty person? And that's what they'll do. They'll be like, "You're unreachable."
No.
Really? So that's when I started business. They train. If you can't get a hold of someone, you call, you text, you email. Then if you've tried all those things, then the other person's shitty, and they're not professional. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm down with Carlos. Let's FaceTime, bro. Let's FaceTime, dude.
I'm a FaceTime guy.
When I met my wife, we FaceTimed. FaceTiming all the time. Look how that ended up for me. Boom. Locked it down. FaceTime single-handedly locked that deal down.
I love it.
Thank you, Steve Jobs.
I love it.
I don't know.
He's very happy for you.
But I think realtors are the biggest offender. I would say.
What about that conversation of like, I'm so busy that texting is more convenient for me?
And
like,
it is.
Is that a real problem, or are people just like using that as an excuse? Like, are you literally that busy? And I'll give some color to that. Like, my wife with our kids, and like the amount of communication she has with other parents, I couldn't imagine her having that many phone calls. Like, she would just just all the time. And I'm just like, there's no way that could transfer into like, let's call and have a conversation.
Carlos said it earlier though, man. He was talking about like tonality, meaning, reading into that text message. Listen, there's a whole other side of this that'll say like time versus, you got to use your time wisely. You can't hop on a call with everybody. And I agree with that. I'm not going to get on a call that I don't deem of value. But if we're trying to make money together, money is value to me. So if I'm trying to make money with you and there's a purpose to this call, I'm picking up that call. But if you're just like, yo, bro, you want to fucking go grab dinner or lunch? Like, I could see that in a text. But I have like, I don't know, what do I got here? I got 15 text messages I got to read. And I'm sure by the time this is over, it'll be even higher. Guess what, dude? You want my attention? You want me to take a moment to think about you? As someone who runs multiple businesses, guess what? Get me on the phone. I will sit down and I will make time for you because you have my attention. You're not going to get my attention by sending me multiple texts and then complaining that I don't respond to you. How hard did you try to get a hold of me, dude? Like, who's doing business with who here? Because as somebody who's not a billionaire, if there's somebody, I'll tell you this, if there's somebody that I'm trying to do business, that I want to do business with, I'm fucking calling you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to go to your fucking office. I'm going to have a conversation. I'll FaceTime. I'll pull a Carlos and I'll FaceTime you at night while you're in bed because I want to do business with you that bad. And you will have to text me back in order to get me to stop calling. And then if I deem you're a texter, then I understand. But if I'm trying to do business with you or learn something from you, I'm having combos, man. Yeah. I'm going to try to get a hold of you and have a meeting. I want your attention.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with that. I was going to say there's nothing wrong though with like, setting the rules of engagement for communication. Like if you start working with a realtor, you can just say like, hey, guy or gal, I really prefer doing phone calls for like time sensitive stuff. Or like, I prefer hopping on a phone call real quick, or like, even if it's a text exchange, like, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, but I can call you back in 10 minutes. And that's almost like with, if I'm doing follow-up calls for like sales or something, I'll listen to the person's voicemail, and sometimes they'll say, hey, the most efficient way to get a hold of me is a text message. And I'm like, all right, well, I just won't leave a voicemail, and then I'll shoot them a text message. Yeah. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with finding out the rhythm. Because, like, in people's defense, like, sure, there's probably a lot of them, and there's probably a lot of them that are, not great at business, or maybe not confident in being a realtor, and they're just trying to, like, push you, just try to get it done the least path of resistance in communication. But I don't think there's anything wrong with letting them know, like, hey, I'm Brandon, like, I'd rather hop on the phone call when available. And it's the same thing when I leave voicemails, if it's specifically for one avenue we're talking about, like investor views, sales, follow-ups, my ringer is on my computer, like it's not my cell phone. So I'm like, when I leave a voicemail, I'm like, hey, the best way is like shoot me a text. I'll be able to get you the fastest response because I'm in meetings throughout most of the day. Exactly. So I think the big point is like knowing the rules of engagement of how you want to communicate with somebody. And that's chapter 2 or 3 in my communication book that Brandon's gonna help me publish.
No,
I was mentioning the last thing.
Mike Fallon, dude. I connect you guys, man. He's phenomenal, dude. But I agree with you. Setting the rules of engagement. Obviously, like I said earlier, like if I'm talking to someone and they start texting, I deem they're a texter. But like to what John said, I can't. So in defense and playing devil's advocate to what I said too, regarding John saying his wife talks to so many people. Like, I agree. I can't call 15 people, handle all my meetings, and have 30-minute combos with them all. Some conversations are text, but if you're trying to do business, there's a legitimate thing. You got a deal working. You're working on a listing. You're doing something with them. You need to get on the phone unless otherwise communication has been given to you that you need to communicate to me this way. Like, hey, text me and I'll respond faster. Like, I got a guy, I call him. Guess what he does? He texts me. Doesn't mean I'm not going to call him. I still call him, and then he texts me, what's up? And I'll respond, like, perfectly fine. Like, that's okay. That's how you want to do business. Like, I got you. Yeah. And we have a little boom, boom, boom. But then when we have a problem, I'm like, hey, I'm going to call you so we can discuss this. Mm-hmm. But again, that's me being underneath them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference. Like, I'm catering to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on what type of conversation you're trying to have. But yeah, I think the rule of thumb is if you're trying to do business with somebody, call, text, email.
Yeah.
Call, text, email again. Call, text, email again. Until the point where, or go to show up somebody's office.
Don't bullshit. Don't bullshit. Yeah. I actually said this to a guy, right? I got on the phone with him and I was chasing him down. And I make it a habit. Like, if you're talking to me regarding business and I'm on a call, I'm not going to talk personal. I'm going to get, like, if I literally need you to look at something or do something, I'm going to get on. I'm going to tell you what I need. I'm going to let you go because I know you're a busy man. Like, so that way when I call you, my call's more valued to you because you know I'm not going to waste your valuable time. And so I set that standard in how I do business. It's like, if we're getting on the phone, yeah, we'll crack a joke in the beginning, but I mean, I'm going to get to the point and say, all right, man, I'm not going to keep you too long. Can you take a look at that? Boom, shoot me an email back. Let me know. And so I said that to a guy and I was like, hey man, listen, I hate chasing you down. When I get on the phone with you, it's all business. I literally only take up a minute or two of your time. So if you want these things, like if you want to do this, I'm going to need you to pick up for me because I can't keep chasing you, dude. I don't take up your time to where you can't talk to me. So if you really want to do this, and he started picking up. Now, again, it's like a fucking cat and mouse game. But yeah, it's okay to say that too. That's the communication, right? And he should expect that.
Yeah, I like that rule of thumb. We're working with a new company that we're integrating with an investor fuse, and the guy is the fastest person I think I've ever experienced on Zoom calls. Like we had a meeting this week at like 9:30 in the morning, and it was about a complicated part of the integration, and you know, a lot of things were said, but we got the call done in like 9 minutes because he's just like, so like, no bullshit, like, let's just go. Here's what happened. Like that? Great. Yeah, and here's the thing, like, it makes me be like, if that dude ever wants a meeting again, I'll say yes, because I know that the minute that we get on, we're straight, like, we'll chat, catch up, whatever, for like 30 seconds, if we're straight down to business, and then the call's done. Like, we're not wasting time, and I'll happily jump on a phone call.
Flip that, though. Who's had those people, and I've had them, I don't want to talk to one, like, I'm not going to say any names.
Exactly.
I don't want to pick up the phone because literally I'll be on the call, and I'll be like, yeah. Yeah, and you don't, because you do business, so you don't want to just be like, hey man, this is a waste of my time. So you literally got to put up that person. I let go to voicemail sometimes because I'm like, God, that could be like a 30-minute call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those.
So I personally want to set that tone that if I'm calling you, it is about, I'm not going to ask you about like how your weekend was, or you know what I mean, or shoot.
You see Will Smith slap Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Let's chat about that for 5 minutes.
What are your thoughts on the local social climate in Hollywood regarding slap heard around the world? I'm not going to talk about that shit. I want to talk about making money in the deal that you and I are doing, and then I'm going to get off the phone with you because I also have shit I got to do.
For you, we didn't even talk about the inclusion of Facebook messages and Instagram DMs, but also we're talking about in general, like what Brandon's talking about is like progressing a deal or some type of business venture where we've also talked about. Well, I'm also encapsulating like general means and rhythm of communication just in life in general, but one of those is business. But I mean, you do manage DMs and Facebook messages and stuff.
I get a lot of dumb ones though. Like honestly, like I will not respond to you if I deem it stupid. If I deem your question stupid, I'm not going to respond to you, and I don't really care what the rule is about social media. You know, it's just simple as that, dude. Like, what's the best list to buy? Not getting a response from me. You know, like I got enough shit going on in my day. You're getting put in that other, that other inbox Instagram has.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 inboxes on Instagram. I don't have this problem.
Like, what is it?
I think primary requests. I think it's
primary, general, and pending. Yeah.
Oh,
so you can you can keep them in pending, delete them, not let them into your primary. But those have different rules though, because those are usually people. I don't know. I do some business on there, but just different rules. I try to transfer everything over to my phone. Like if I'm doing business with you, you have my cell phone number.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, when you get so busy, like you gotta like. I mean, I don't even have notifications on for Instagram, like because it just.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like, I don't have time to deal with that, like drawing my attention away, and so I'll check it when I have the time. And same thing, like I use the focus mode on my phone, so that I only receive texts and calls from like 10 people during the work hours.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I think you're on there, Brandon. As is Carlos. You guys made the short list.
Why? Why is that? Because we all do business together.
Well,
that's right.
There you go.
That's right.
Which I think, that goes into relationships, right? Like valued relationships. Like, I haven't known you for that. I haven't known either of you guys that long, but obviously if we're talking some kind of business or an idea, theory about business, something that adds value to our mindset. And so for that, I have made John's top list over there of focus mode acceptable. I guess I just feel lucky.
FaceTime tonight. FaceTime.
I'll FaceTime you. I'll FaceTime you. Exactly. If you don't FaceTime me, then I will take offense to that. I take offense to that. I had that happen before. Someone wouldn't FaceTime me, and I found it really weird. So then that was the end of that relationship. I was like, "Bro, if you can't FaceTime somebody, come on."
Yeah.
So what's going on for real?
Yeah.
I FaceTime with people, like business people. Not probably as much as Carlos, but like especially with real estate, you're out at a property, FaceTime, show me something. Like you should feel comfortable with that. It's a good way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It also goes to relationship level, guys. Relationships. Okay, I feel like this is a topic that could have a very long conversation, especially because I feel in today's climate you have multiple types of relationships, right? You have personal. Like we'll say high school, college, the 20-year-old drinking friends. Then you have your business associates, you have your family, right? I mean, how do you quantify or value the crowd you run with, right? Do you feel like you should spend time with just anybody? And how does that relate to your success?
Right. Like how, well, I mean, maybe the question to ask is like how important that is first. I mean, I keep seeing, I recently saw the quote, something like, if I was broke or whatever, I wasn't a millionaire and then I started hanging out with millionaires and I became the next one or whatever. It's like, what is that? You're made up of the people.
I got some shit on that one.
Okay.
I got some real shit on that one. And I don't feel bad about it, man. I don't feel bad about it because it's fucking true. And that's why 2022, I'm hanging out with people who are so much. I want to hang out with people that are worth 10 million. I'm not worth 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. My goal is 100 million, right? And that's probably even small. So why am I going to hang out with somebody that's worth 100,000 or negative 60,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what the average net worth is?
It's a good trivia question. Average net worth of someone in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with
average net worth of a 30-year-old. Holy shit. $122,000. Come on.
For a 30-year-old?
For a 30 to 34-year-old, according to smartasset.com. We give references, people, for our stats.
Yeah. Brandon's casually strolling through scholarly studies this morning.
Yeah.
Between all your guys' DMs and text messages.
When I got into real estate, I'll tell you this: when I was partying, I had a kid. I was still kind of living that lifestyle because me and her mom had separated. I was negative like 60 grand when I moved down to Florida. probably maybe a little more with college loans or whatever. And then I started hanging out with people that were doing deals. Not much, but I immediately flipped that, right? Within my first year. And then on my path to becoming like to earn my net worth of 1 million, like when in my 20s, it wasn't a thing. Like to be a millionaire back then or to make 200 grand was a big deal where I'm from. So I wasn't hanging out with people that were making $1 million a month. That were making, if you made like, I remember my first year I made like $220,000 when I was like 20. I thought that was it. I was done. I made it. Mama, I made it. And then like I found out people make that in a month, but I didn't find that out in my 20s. In my 20s, I wasn't hanging out with that crowd. I was still going out to bars. I was successful and I was making a shit ton of money, but I didn't know that there was more. I didn't know that $1 million wasn't the end of it. I didn't know that $1 million a year was your goal to get to in a month after that. Like I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And I don't apologize for learning that and then saying, holy shit, why don't I want to hang around with those people and see if I can give them value to learn something from them? Why don't I pay to be in that room?
Yeah.
I mean, Carlos, look at all the people you hang out with, man. All of them successful in their own right. You know them all and you hang around them. Does that not motivate you?
It does.
When you're selling shit, dude, you're looking at them and you're saying, holy shit, man, that makes you a better salesman, a better businessman. I mean, that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That's a big part why I moved down here to Miami, because Baltimore, I could kind of project out what my year would look like probably like 80%. Like I kind of know the same thing. I had all the personal systems and processes in place as far as like where I go to the gym, groceries, meal prep, yoga, haircut, golf courses I play at, real estate networking events. And there's just a lot of abundance down here, and that was kind of like my, you know, because the people say that the Miami rent is high here, but like it's not too much with the state tax taken out, like not that much of a difference from Baltimore. I was like, you know what? I just want to drop myself into like an unknown area where I have a good network. Like the only people I know here besides my dad are all just real estate people or entrepreneurial type people. So I want to follow up on that in like a year, just to see. But yeah, man, like without even trying to, just kind of knowing people. Like Saturday, John was joking, I guess when I saw him Monday or Tuesday, he's like, Instagram told me that you had a fun weekend this weekend. Played golf with a real estate guy, a long-time Investor Fuse guy that's now into storage. Just today or yesterday closed their biggest deal, did like Fernando Angelucci did like a $1 million plus assignment on a package of storage units in North Carolina. Literally $1 million there. Went out drinking with someone I got connected with from one of my best friends at home, whose boyfriend just happens to be a massive real estate developer in Baltimore that lives now in Miami Beach. Plays golf with Michael Jordan. Plays golf with Michael Jordan at LaGorce Country Club in Miami Beach. And then going to Mark Evans and Matt Garabedian had the networking event that I mentioned this past Tuesday night, which was like very, very cool. Just shaking Mark Evans' hand, talking to him, everything like that. So yeah, I mean, on a micro level, like when I was doing my weekly review today, just kind of recapping, I love like micro examples of like behavior change and action. Like I got back from that, and instead of watching like something funny, which it's good, you should laugh and it's good for your soul and overall productivity. But I ended up coming back and eating like dessert, like a healthy dessert, and watching stuff on like Bitcoin for like an hour, just like stuff. I'm like, man, these guys are at such a high level. So like, or like meditating, for example. Like when I meditate, like most days, you're a little bit more poised with like food decisions that you make or like what you want to get done. Like if I do a Spanish lesson out that day. So just being down here for like a month and a half and just hanging out with high level people,
changes your mindset, right?
Yeah, it definitely makes you think bigger. Yeah. And I mean, reading is the best thing. Reading is like the number one best thing to do, whether you can network with people or not. Like if you're consistently reading, I think that's like the best subconscious programmer that you can do, like in a positive way, whatever you want to do. But yeah, man, I'd be curious to follow up on that in like a year, just at the pace of I am trying to network, but without trying to do it a ton. There's just a lot of opportunity being presented.
Who you hang out with is a direct result of whatever your income level is or going to be, or your sales if you're a salesperson, or your mindset if you're trying to better your mind. It's a direct result. I'm telling you, man, like my income has skyrocketed just based in the way my company is structured. I mean, there's different things that I've learned from people that I didn't get locally here. You know, the average realtor here, I mean, even if you're making six figures, and for a realtor, that's a lot of money in a state like in an area like this. So let's just say you're making six figures. What is that? 10 grand a month? And if that's what you define as success, which I did for so long when I was in my 20s, right? 10 grand a month was like, holy shit.
Six figures, yeah, for the year.
Right. And you're making six figures. And there's months I was making 20, 30. I'm like, man, mom, I made this. And now I'm like, holy fuck. And that's why I said, Carlos, like, I'm trying to get off the transactional wheel. Because then earlier this year, I started hanging out with people who have like 1,000 doors. And I'm like, what? And they're telling me how they did it. I'm like, I could do that. You ever be around somebody like that where you say, man, I'm as smart as them. Why don't I do that? Well, here's why. Because you're not around the people they're around. That's it. Boom, done. You want to know why if you're as smart as somebody else, you're not as successful? Look at the people around you. And I did. And when I did it when I was younger, and in my 20s, I cut a lot of people off and I got shit for it. And I was successful to the standard of the people that I was surrounded by, but not to what I knew was possible. And now I'm learning what's possible, and I am sure I'm going to be mind blown at the next level. I am sure there's people out there in the $1 billion, my goal is $100 million. And I think that might be small, but me and my wife set a goal, and that's what our goal is. And so, Carlos, that's why I said we're trying to get off the transactional wheel, and that's why I joined Tim Bratz's Legacy Legacy Wealth Mastermind, because I want to be around those people. So if I have a choice to hang out and for a weekend, let me ask you this. You're going to spend 20 grand. You can go with a couple of your buddies and you could drop 20 G's and you could go get a sick place out in like Vail, Colorado, mansion, drinks, snowboarding, snowmobiles, ice fishing, whatever the hell you want to do, and have a fucking blast. Or I could spend 20 grand at a mastermind hanging out with Tim Bratz, learning everything that he knows. What am I going to spend my 20 G's on? What's going to better my life?
Ideally, that'd be cool.
If you do the mastermind, you can go to Vail 4 times plus.
I will own Vail. I went to one mastermind, and I learned that people are buying, and again, everyone else knows this. I did it because of my crowd. People are buying vacation homes where they want to live and then Airbnb-ing them, and then they own a home there and it pays for itself. And I went back and told my wife, and now we're looking at lake houses. And I was like, I didn't know this. I know a lot about real estate, but I didn't know this because I don't hang out with people that do that. I hang out with people who have rentals, but no one that owns a multi-million-dollar fucking Airbnb and then has that in their portfolio and they vacation there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
All right, well, so let's flip the conversation, and I have a perspective that we can talk about on this. So I'm in a little bit of a different boat where I have, for the most part, young kids. The oldest is 12, the youngest is 6. So the last 10 years of my life have been very homebound. And so I'm starting to get to that stage where I can say it's time to start like getting in more like masterminds, going places, traveling, getting around those people. I will say, just like from a parent's perspective, that same thing of like, you know, being a good business person or being successful in business means being around successful business people. Same thing for a parent, right? Like if you're around great parents and hanging out with great parents, then you end up being a great parent. But my question is, how much do you think that theory of being around successful people is a little bit different with things like social media, because you can get a little bit more perspective, the sort of, and I don't think it's like to 100%. I'm saying maybe we've gone from like 0 to like 15% of that benefit, but like just being able to see like that motivational without having to be like,
there's too much noise, bro. And who's real? So yeah, you don't think that in my last example I knew about Airbnb? You don't think I've ever heard about that? You don't think I heard about people buying vacation homes? It's not that I didn't see it on Instagram. I had a conversation with somebody, sitting down, listening to them explain it to me, understanding, and then I valued and respected them because not only did we talk about that, obviously we talked about other things about their life, right? And I'm like, that's possible. Not that you don't see it. It's too much shit, man. There's so many things on social media that you see that is like, okay, well, that's cool. It's a shiny object. And then you sit down with somebody and you talk about it. But I got kids too. And so that's the thing is like, and I've had kids my entire adult life, right? And it's like, if I have to pick who I'm hanging out with, my kids rank number one, like my kids, my wife now, like, and then business people, but my college friends and high school friends, like, they're important to me and they'll always have a place in my heart. That they fall into a category of friends. Like I always base friends off of like 3 different things. Friends with a common past, right? Friends because of a common environment, right? Like work friends, school friends. It was why high school, you know what I mean? Like your work friends, you're in a sports team. And then you have friends off of a common goal, right? And so my friends have a common past, like family, cousins, kids, childhood friends. They're always going to be here. Bro, like we're like me trying to spend a week.
Where do you try to add the friends? Which pool do you try to add to?
I try to add to the one for my future. That's the only one I care about.
That. The distinct buckets.
Yeah. I try to explain that to my daughter. I've had that theory for a while, and it's like I've defined a lot of it, but none of it made sense until I started hanging out with people who were legitimately making $1 million a month, and I didn't even know that was fucking possible. Mm-hmm. And I feel dumb because I don't consider myself an unintelligent person. And I felt dumb for not understanding that because I was like, holy shit, it's so simple. But yet, it is actually possible.
Yeah.
And I was talking.
I love the idea of like.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go.
There you go. I said I just love the idea of like reinvesting into that like networking.
Where are you going to add to?
Yeah. I think so. Ryan Dossey, I love like what he stands for and his past, and he shares it a bunch. But like he, started out in real estate, like made whatever $28,000, I think was his W-2 for his first year in real estate. And he basically said, every time I made money, I went to masterminds, I went and networked, I went to places and learned from other people. And the dude's like what, 28, 7, 6? I don't know.
I didn't even know what a mastermind was in my fucking 20s.
Right. Same here.
I didn't know what a mastermind was until I was like 32, 33, I think.
Yeah.
Because around here, that's not a thing. People, they don't do that. Real estate people think they're good. They sell 1 or 2 homes. They make 10, 15 grand. Like, I felt like I wasted a lot of my life not knowing this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like, I'm not going to apologize. When I saw that post, I reposted it because I was like, that's the facts for my life too, because I had made money, lost money. And then like, I was kind of lost. And then like, how did I start making my money again? I realized there's people better than me. And I hung around them. Mm-hmm. That's why I love hanging around you guys. And we have this talk. Each one of you is successful and does something completely different than me. So we're not in the past category and we're not in the common environment category. We all live somewhere different, but we come together because of business, and we all have future goals, and we're helping each other achieve that in our own ways, right? And that adds value to life, and by in turn, that adds values to our kids' lives, right?
Exactly.
Because you make more money, you are more successful, you're happier, you have better lessons to teach, different things. But I don't know, man. I talked to somebody, and they said that I was going to try to read you the quote when I was trying to defend my post. My only argument is I deeply enjoy occasionally spending time with people like so-and-so who are traveling on the cheap surf trips with other friends that literally only work an hourly job, and that's what they want. It's very rewarding to my mind to experience something different and to fit into a different world. Then I come back and I'm ready to conquer again. And in my mind, I read...
Sounds like you're taking a break from your world.
Yeah, it's like you're taking a break. It's like being a good-looking person only hang out with ugly people when you were younger, right? Like there's that old saying, like, oh, you the good-looking person in the group. And I read that and I was like, man, that's a real twisted way of looking at things. Like, you want to hang out with them because either A, you feel better than them, so they inflate your ego about what you could do, but they also don't push you or test you to be a better version of you. Now, listen, these people, let's just say, and I'm making this up because I don't factually know, if I am a cheap surfer somewhere in Costa Rica that has resigned myself to this life because I deem my success Success to me is freedom of material things, freedom to live the life I want, and surfing is the thing that I enjoy, and I don't need money to live that life. I live a life of simplicity. That is a phenomenal thing to value success off of. But for somebody who runs their own business, my success is geared off of something else. So I don't add value to you, and you don't add value to me other than the fact that you give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the fact that I don't have to think and I don't have to be challenged.
Yep.
And that's how I took that. And that's what I was thinking. And again, I came to the conclusion that I feel as if I'm not wrong. And I feel that for what my gearing and what we talk about, I don't want to be around those people. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, but I'm trying. We have a goal, $100 million. That's my goal. And I need to buy things and do things and grow a business that has that achievement. I need to be around people that have success doing that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to surf, so I'd fucking get eaten by a shark. Fat white dude.
Like what you want out of life.
It's eaten.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. How did you guys take that? Like, what did you think of that? Do you agree? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're totally right. I think that it's all about what you want out of life. And yeah, I mean, to the point of that person, like, I like to go and hang out with people. Like, yeah, why do you want to feel better about yourself over others? I mean, I like looking up, not looking down. Like, looking to where I can go and what's next. And
like hiding.
Yeah.
Carlos, you've been awfully silent.
I'm absorbing it. I'm in agreement with you, and it's funny because like that was the last. If John knows well, it's like the 6 months, and I forgot. I guess I was talking about this. I can't remember exactly when. I was telling somebody about this recently, but like this, there was like a period of like 6 months where I was deciding whether to stay in Baltimore or here, and like a big part of that is exactly what Papa P is preaching right now. It's like I know my friends there, like huge network in Baltimore, real estate, a lot of real estate people too. A lot of very successful real estate people that take me to do, invite me to do fun stuff and high level networking with literally like the governor of the state and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this was a way for me to control the variable of what this whole conversation is like, I'm almost putting like a filter on who I can hang out with. It's like the only people I'm hanging out with, like unless I meet them at like yoga class, which is someone I'm trying to like, those are the people I want to meet, yeah. But like literally the only people I'm hanging out with are like real estate people here. Like there's even a dude, nice guy, maybe hopefully he's not one of the listeners, but there's even a guy who does business here. He's like an investment guy, not real estate. But he's from like my county and like asked me to hang out when I first moved here. And I'm just like my second brain, my stomach is like, it's exactly why I moved out of Maryland. Like I'm not trying to hang out with people that are like 4th, 5th, 6th connections. Like the only people I want to hang out with are,
and you shouldn't feel bad for that. That's a valid thing. Like that's anybody who's a high level performer, that is valid to do, to pick and choose who you spend your time with. That's not a bad thing. Yeah. So for someone to say, oh man, like you don't treat people the same. It's not that I don't treat people the same nice way, and it's not that I don't care about them. And I don't think what he's doing, if that's the way you want to live, as long as your actions and your goals are aligned in the way you describe and the words coming out of your mouth align with your actions. If you're sitting here saying, I'm not successful, why can't my business be more successful? And then you look around and you wonder why, and you see that you're hanging out with lesser people, well, maybe the answer is
that's
around
it right
you. Yeah. And so I was surprised that I got shit. Some of y'all are like, oh, you're an idiot. And I was like, I think I am. I now make in a month what I used to make in a year when I started real estate. Like, I feel like, and that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't learn from other people that I hung out with that it actually was fucking possible. I mean, I came from a middle-class neighborhood. I mean, if you made it 6 figures, you were rich. That was rich.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, what is the old, like the Dave Ramsey, you save up your money, you become a millionaire. There's nothing wrong with that either. And it's like NFTs, man, like, Carlos, I know you're into the blockchain and stuff, but like, I'm looking at NFTs and the ones I'm looking at, I want networking. I want networking. I'm trying to find the right one for networking. I don't need a pretty picture. I need one that gets me access. I've learned that. I don't even fucking know why. I was like, I need one that gives me access. I don't know why I need to be in this community, but I feel like there's people who are smarter than me there.
Those will definitely be rolling out this year. Real estate ones in our space, 100% will be rolling out this year.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like getting out of your industry, right? I'm sure like you guys are in the software industry. I'm in the real estate industry. You know, like you guys are real estate software. InvestorFuse, phenomenal. But how did we connect? Business. Yeah. So that's kind of my thing, man. I don't know. I was taken aback from it. I wanted to discuss it because I was like, how do I take that, man?
You should start fielding. You should start asking people for questions like on your Instagram during the week, and then the best ones will bring up on the show. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I was just like, you're right, but you're arguing with people. Like, how do you even argue with that? So, like, I used a sales pitch on them, and I teach my team this. I go, I can completely understand that. And that is a valid thing to do. I use that line on every. If you hear me say that, you're getting sales pitch.
That was episode 1 or 2. You said
yeah, I completely understand that. I think that is a valid thing to do. You and I have different goals, therefore our actions are different. And I think it's a valid thing to do. I can't argue with you, so I just make you feel good about yourself. You know, that's the way you want to live. Sales 101. Yeah. So, episode 1, I talked about that shit. My secrets are out. Anybody, if I ever use that on somebody, they're going to fucking know. I'm going to have to come up with a new.
That's all right. If they listen to here, they're trying to expand their network and understanding.
I gotcha. No.
Well, guys, another fantastic week in the book. Yeah. That was a lot of great topics. I'll have to clip some of this out and post it on the interwebs.
There's like a hurricane in Miami right now.
Hurricane in Miami? It's sunny up here.
I know. It's wind
Same here.
And rain. It's crazy.
Sorry, bud.
Middle of the state is looking beautiful.
I guess you're going to have to stay at home and watch your Bitcoin videos this weekend.
No, I am. This is definitely
If you need some, you let me know. I got some good ones, man.
Who do you like? Yeah, share any with me on Slack. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to send them to you. I watch what is that one? Cryptopia. That was a good one. There's a company that makes them, and they're solid documentaries about that community, and like you learn a lot from it. I make my daughter sit down and watch them.
That's
she hates it.
That's smart.
She hates it, but I make her. I made her watch a Ray Dalio video the other day. He does a very good job. Ray Dalio does a very good job of breaking down in a visual way how the economy works. I made her sit down.
Was that like a 30-minute video? I watched some of that like a year ago, but I want to.
He's got like 2 or 3 of them out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch that. I think his name's Robert Breedlove. He just spoke at the Bitcoin conference, and he's a massive Bitcoin enthusiast.
I've seen him on Kitco. Yeah, Kitco News.
He watched, he had a Tom Billy interview this like a year ago, just kind of like the philosophy behind Bitcoin. That was amazing. Like, and that gets deeply, deeply rooted in like human psychology and like how almost every decision you make in a day is based off of like the U.S. monetary value. Like, it's a very cool. Very cool. I enjoyed that a lot.
I've seen that interview. Tom Bilyeu is, there you go. If I could get in a room with that guy.
Yeah, he kills it. One thing we should talk about next week is Elon Musk making an offer to buy Twitter.
The best, next to Donald Trump, he is single-handedly the best marketer in the world.
Yeah, that could have been a little bit of a marketing play.
That man knows how to keep his name
does.
Out there. Whether it's, I don't know what goes through his head, but I could just say he is the new top dog in social media and just marketing. Like, that man, I love him, dude. I've read his, like, all of his biographies, his story, everything. Who doesn't love him? He's the real life Iron Man.
Yeah, he really is. Love Iron Man.
He's so fucking rich. It's like
crazy.
I think he's got what, $236 billion fucking dollars? Isn't that right? 236 billion?
Several times, right?
And isn't he only, what did he offer, Carlos? Like 44 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, that's only like a quarter of his fucking net worth.
Crazy.
Like, to get to that level, and how did he do it? You want to know what? read his biography. He wasn't hanging out with people. He was literally sleeping on a couch in a shitty little apartment when he started his first company that turned into PayPal, right? Like,
crazy.
He wasn't. He had very high value, and then Tesla was from his network. You know, people who knew him, and so on and so on. And now look at him. He's sending people to fucking space. Did you watch that on Netflix? I was gonna watch that.
Is there a documentary, or is that just a space one?
That's the space
The one about the astronauts?
Normal people into space, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to watch that. I wasn't quite sure. I just feel like...
Is that an Elon Musk one or just a space one?
It's just about SpaceX and the people that went on the first,
it's not about
normal
Elon
people
Musk,
to space.
It's about SpaceX, why he started what his... I mean, he's in there, but it's not like solely about him. It follows the people. I only watched the trailer, but I was intrigued by it. I'm probably going to have to wait until my daughter's around me so I can make her watch it. And that's another thing for parents. I force feed my children what I want them to know. And I don't really give a shit. I will make them sit down and watch things like this because I don't think the school education is doing a good enough job of doing it.
100%.
Because my daughter told me, she said, why do I want any Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? It's not worth anything. I said, well, what do you want instead? She goes, dollars. And I started laughing. I said, if you only knew the fucking truth.
Man, there's some crazy rabbit holes. I already suspected it and filled it, but there are some, not even rabbit holes, but the Bitcoin enthusiasts are talking about just inflation and
the maxis. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, the Bitcoin maxis are crazy, but But either way, I mean, I make my daughter watch that stuff because that's going to be her life. That's going to be her generation. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, she's 16. She's got to know that stuff. So 100%. I'll probably make her sit down and watch that SpaceX one too because that's going to be a thing. Anyway,
more on next week.
And stuff
coming soon.
Boom. All right, guys, lock and load. What is that? Best reviews, best CRM out there. Lock and load, guys. I don't. What the fuck? I have to do with these things. I need a care package ASAP.
Yeah, we need to get Brandin a care package.
We need a care package.
We need to come up with some. I think we're out of these. I think we need to make some new swag here soon.
I can send you some stress. I can ship you some stress balls.
Yeah, I can use them with my bat.
Yeah,
lop them out.
All right, guys.
All right, gentlemen. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
See you guys.